name is Rob, and this is Vintage Weights PGH. In my hands, I hold a milled era 10-pound York change plate. This, however, looks similar, but it's not made by York Barbell. This is a Hofmann Industries 10-pound plate. Looks very similar, but there are some differences. More than any other plate, I find people asking me about these, or I stumble upon people that have these mixed in with a York set and incorrectly identified as York Barbell plates. Hofmann Industries, they were around in the 1960s all the way up through the 1980s. I don't believe they were around in the 90s. I don't have a firm out of business date because when I say around, they're still around. You can look up Hofmann Industries online. So I should really rephrase that. They made weights through the 1980s. I have several of their standard plates, and I've stumbled across and I've learned about their Olympic plates. And their oldest Olympic plates that they made were essentially a knockoff of York's. The 45s and 35s, though, are quite distinguishable. The 45 has a big H on it, clearly not made by York. And the 35, although it doesn't have any lettering, it has a different 4-point pattern than the York 35 that had either the tall lettering or, in the 1990s, the York 35 that looked similar to the 45. Where it gets confusing would be the 25s and down. So, for example, the 10 of the Hofmann Industries has just about the same design with the exception of two things. The orientation of the number 10, it's at the 9 o'clock as opposed to the 6 o'clock, and it has LB for pound, and then I guess three things. More than two things, maybe even you could say four things. The third thing that is different is that Hofmann Industries marked Made in USA on their plates, and they often had the SS with a number foundry and furnace marking because they were made at Sinking Springs Foundry in Pennsylvania. The 25s follow the same pattern. This is a York milled era 25 with the numbering at the 6 o'clock position. And the Hofmann 25 looks quite similar, has that hockey puck design, but 25 and pound, and then at the bottom, Made in USA. Now, what should you do with these Hofmanns? Should you just trash them? Some people might say that. I don't think so. I mean, they're fairly accurate for not being milled or heavily machined or anything like that, just being cast. They look as good as York looks in terms of 25 and below for milled era. And they were made in the United States. One other slight difference I'll point out is that Yorks are flush. The center hub and Hofmann's are not. The center hub is actually lower than the outer rim. I find that that makes the hockey puck design a little easier to grasp. So would I go out of my way to buy Hofmann's? No, not particularly. Would I pick them up if they were fairly cheap, less than $1 a pound? Well, yeah, I'd pick up just about any Olympic weights for less than $1 a pound these days. It's 2023. Get what you can on the used market. But are they collectible? That's where it gets a little murky. They're not collectible in the sense that people are actively trading these or seeking these out. But on the other hand, like I said, made in the United States, vintage, look pretty good. They'll match your Yorks, and they're fairly accurate. I would pick them up at a cheap price in a collectible way and put together a set. That's sort of what I've been doing. So, those are the Hofmann Industries plates. My biggest advice besides buying them at a very cheap price would just be not to confuse them for Yorks. Don't get ripped off buying what you think are York barbell plates when, in fact, they're the imposters. Thanks for watching. Please, if you want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Have you ever seen the imposters? Have you ever been fooled by them? I appreciate you. Old weights, new gains.